Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Papa's Saw Shop. I'm Papa. Today, we're going to talk flywheels. Okay, specifically chainsaw flywheels. Now, you've probably heard me say in other videos that a flywheel is a flywheel. Is a flywheel. All right. Now, these are all flywheels for a 201, for an MS 201. Okay, they all look pretty much the same. I mean, if I held them up to you right here, and I said, "You see that? Which one is the OEM, and which one is the aftermarket?" You might say, "Well, that shiny one, that's probably the aftermarket." Well, you'd be wrong. It's steel. But anyway, so in one part of stuff, uh, on one hand, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference as far as the flywheel, aftermarket, OEM, whatever. What really matters is what you do with it. Okay? Now I'm going to get into this a little more. Now, that old boy bring me a couple of 201s, and he said, "Papa, I put a coil on this thing. I went down to my steel dealer and I got me a coil. I put a new coil on it because it didn't have a spark, and I put the other, put the new coil on it. It still doesn't have a spark. And so I tested it. Well, guess what? It's a bad coil." And again, I never like talking bad about people. However, hopefully your steel dealer is a little more understanding than his, because they pretty much told him, "Hey, it's a part. Unless we put it on, then tough luck. You're on your own." So he's got a worthless coil. But he's also got something else going on. Because now, let me say this much. If you're going to replace a coil on your saw, you do not have to remove the flywheel. Okay? Now you might want to remove the flywheel. Once you get in here, you're like, "Boy, that's a lot of crud back in here. I'll pull that flywheel off and I'll clean back in there." That's exactly what he did. He got himself in trouble. Now I'm going to show you how. Now this is a new flywheel that I had around here. I put it back on here, and this is his coil. And anyway, we're going to have to put a new coil on it. But we're going to get into something else here. You ever seen a broken coil? Oh, my shirt's coming up. Boy, that's a family show, Papa. Jeez, give it to yourself. Anyway, you ever seen a broken coil? I'm going to show you two of them. You ready? There's one. I'm going to let you get a real good look at it. See it? See where it's broke? Boy, that looks pretty good, don't it? Well, I promise you it's broke. Now here's the other one. Oh, that one I can see, Papa. I can see right inside there. Looks like the keyway's broke. Yep, you'd be right. The keyway's broke. But something more. I'm going to show you here if I find my little screwdriver up here. Now, you might think that what I'm about to show you won't make any difference at all. And I'm here to tell you it makes a world of difference. Now, this flywheel, I'll let you look in this way because I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. Now see there, the keyway's in good shape. See there? Let's look at the back side. You see it yet? Let me get a little closer. Now you see it? Right there? There's a hairline crack right there. And This one's a little more distinct. Look at that. That's a little more. Now, you notice the name on here? And that's why I say it doesn't really matter. Okay. Now, this didn't happen because it's aftermarket, which it's not. It didn't happen because it's OEM. It happened because of the person putting it on. Now, I know what a lot of you were thinking when you put a flywheel on. That what you do is you put the flywheel up there and you make sure the keyway matches up to the spline on the flywheel, and then you thread the little nut on there, and then you get out your drill and oh, it's not making enough noise. It better no, it better not. You're cracking your flywheel. All right. So a lot of guys will do that. A lot of guys will, and I'm only going to do this just because I got spark plug pulled out of here, but a lot of guys will just get there and just crank on it until they hear their wrench just like a damn machine gun. Stop it. That ain't the right way to do it. I'm going to show you the right way to do it. All right. Now, you got two parts of the flywheel. You got the back end that connects to the clutch. You got the front end that connects to the flywheel. All right? Now, it just so happens this and this are both 1/2 inch. Okay? They both will fit on a 1/2 inch socket. Now, here's what you do. You get out your little tool. I don't know what you guys call this, but I call it a scrinch because it's a screwdriver and a wrench. All right. And you tighten up the nut on the flywheel as tight as you can by hand. Take your scrinch, hold the clutch with your hand, okay? Just reach in there and just hold the clutch with your hand, or I normally just put the palm of my hand on it because you're not going to get it that tight yet anyways. Don't worry about it, okay? And just put it on there and then just tighten as much as you can. Now, it's going to slide on your fingers, okay? Well, that ain't tight enough. Okay, so you keep that on there. Keep that scrinch on your flywheel. Put the other one on here. Now, what I do, look at there. I hold that right there with my thumb. You see that? I'm holding that onto the, I don't know if you can, there you go. So I'm holding that right there. I got the scrinch just kind of locked in there, and I'm pushing down on it with my thumb. All right, and then I got the other side on the clutch. Okay. Now, if you turn this enough, it's going to loosen this clutch because this is a backwards thread. Okay, so turning left is going to loosen it, but you're not going to go that tight anyways. Okay. Now, what you do, since you got it right there, you got it locked right there on the frame, just give her a good tighten. Right there. That's it. That's all you got to do. Now, because now when I was doing that, I loosened this up a little bit. Okay? So, now what you can do, you can do that on this side. All right? So, put your, oh doggone it. Put your spark plug back in. We're just gonna thread it a little bit here. We won't put it all the way in. We'll just put it in hand tight. Now, All right, now we got the screwdriver, we got the spark plug in, okay? Boy, my button come loose. It's an expose around here today. All right, now we're going to tighten up this clutch. Now, you can run this thing on the clutch as tight as you want. You're not going to hurt that clutch. All right? Now, you hear this thing chattering? It should not chatter on that side. Okay? Now, what you can do is you can put this on this side. Now, and just give her a couple little zaps. Okay? Put your scrunch on that side. Now that you've tightened her up, there you go. Hey, flywheel's tight. Now you might say, one thing I forgot to tell you, you want to tighten up your flywheel, you want to go the opposite direction. Because if not, you see with my other hand what I just did? I just loosened up the flywheel. So don't make that mistake. Let me show you that real quick one more time here. Let me line this doggone thing up. All right, there it is. Line back up. Now we're gonna tighten her down. We're gonna tighten it down with the scrunch. So you didn't know you was gonna get a refresher out of this thing, did you? This is for all the slow learners out there. Everybody didn't pay attention the first time. You get to see it the second time. Okay? We planned all this. All right. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold the fin, the flywheel fins, right here. I'm gonna tighten that down as much as I can. I'm gonna get out my other scrunch. Locked onto that flywheel. I'm going to button my damn shirt up because I'm missing a button. Okay, I'm going to put it on the clutch side. Right there. I'm going to hold her down with my thumb. Give her a good tighten. All right. Now, if you have trouble holding the clutch, okay, if the clutch keeps coming loose on you, a lot of times it won't, but this one here keeps coming loose on me, so I'm going to be fair. I'm going to tilt this just a little bit here and show you. What you can do, now you got to be really, really careful when you're doing this, all right? Now, first of all, you got to remember that this doesn't have to be Hercules tight, all right? It's not going to come loose, okay? So if you're afraid of it coming loose, put some damn Loctite in there. Put some JB Weld in there if you're that damn afraid of it. But anyway, if you go, you see where I'm at here, you can put your screwdriver or your scrunch right in those teeth, but now don't put them right here where there's nothing behind the next tooth, because you'll snap the tooth off, okay? You'll snap one of those wings off, so don't do that. Put it right here where that weight is, all right? And you can do it this way, and I don't recommend doing it this way. I recommend doing it with the clutch, but if your clutch comes loose, you can always do this. Now, don't use a socket wrench. Don't use any kind of tools or impacts or anything like that. It just doesn't have to be that tight, okay? I mean, it does have to be tight, but we just don't got to get crazy on it. Now see, look, this is already, I can't tighten it no more doing this, all right? So it's already tight enough. Could I get it tighter? You bet I could. And you know what would happen? It would tighten that nut down as tight as I could get it, as tight as that drill would put it in there, and then it would put a big old crack in the bottom side of it. And we'd say, oh, it's tight all right. And then eventually, what's going to happen, I've done it. Eventually, what's going to happen is that when the saw heats up and that crack swells, it's going to mess up the timing in your saw, because everything swells when it gets hotter. Well, that's going to swell too, and then things are going to mess up in the timing. Okay. Now, just about done here, but I'm going to close with one more thing. I'm going to tell you something very important. I tell all the guys that I hire during the summertime around here, I tell the guys the same damn thing. If you don't know how this works right here, if you don't know, when you look at this and you can't look at it and say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what's in there. I know how that's built. I know how that works. When this turns around here, then this does this and that does that. If you don't know, do not take this off. You're not qualified to take this off. If you do have to replace this, you give me a call or look me up on www.papashop01.com. Hit that little icon at the bottom of the home page down there where it's got the little voice or whatever. Hit me up. Just say, hey, Papa, I'm getting ready to change a coil on here. Any words of wisdom? Just put a comment down there at the bottom down there. Subscribe to my channel. I think I've got a video on exactly what this does. But if you think you're just going to pop this cover off and you're just going to throw one of these on here and then you're just going to pop the flywheel off and just clean it up, pop it all back on here, it's all going to work. If it does, it's not because you're good, it's because you're lucky. All right? Now, and I don't mean that to talk about anybody or diss anybody, but all I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff going on here, okay? And if you don't really understand it, if something goes wrong and you put it all back together and then like, doggone it, I don't know. Well, then when you send it to the repair shop is first of all going to assume, all right, and I try not to assume anything around here, but they're going to ask you, okay, what'd you do? What was the last thing you do? What you did? When did it run last? All that kind of stuff. If they don't ask you, you better take it somewhere else because they don't care. But anyway, so when you say, I put an OEM coil in this thing, all right, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm say, all right, well, it probably works. It's OEM. It's brand new. Why wouldn't it? And then I'm going to measure the distance in here. Then, if still nothing, then I'm going to pull the flywheel, and I'm going to get deeper in here. But this is the last thing I'm going to look at because you already told me this is brand new. Well, you could have saved yourself some diagnostic charge and saved all of us a lot of trouble if you knew what was going on in here in the first place. You put it all on, you set it all in there, and you said, doggone it, I don't think that coil's any good. All right, well, there's no sense bringing it here. You know the coil's no good. Come over here and buy another one. But because they're not going to give you one anyways. They're not going to warranty it. But anyway, that's a whole different subject. But anyway, kind of see where I'm going with this. I charge by the job, and I don't really charge, I don't charge like a lawyer and see how much time I got into something. I charge by the job itself. So anyway, there are shops that basically clock in and clock out on the job. And so if you're paying them a diagnostic charge, if you don't know how to diagnose this coil on yourself, if you don't know how to diagnose it yourself, then you're paying somebody else to do the job that you've already done. So you save yourself a lot of time and hassle sometimes if you just take your saw into the repair shop. If you don't know what's going on in here, take it in, let them put the coil on, If it's a faulty coil, they'll have to put a new one on because they put it on. So now they got to warranty it. So it's think about that before you go into a shop and just buy an electrical part and then install it and then it doesn't work. That does happen more often than you might guess. Um, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but it's certainly 60-40 maybe. Um, so I would say 60% of the time you get a good one, and 40% of the time you don't, and that's really not good odds. You know, when you're talking hundreds of dollars for electrical parts, or for labor, or anything like that. So, anyway, that's how you put a flywheel on, how you tighten a flywheel. My words of wisdom about a coil. I do have a video out there somewhere about how these coils work. If you can't find it, let me know. Um, we will label it so that you can, or we'll make another video and I'll explain to you exactly how these things work. So until then, that's all I got. And like I always say, be careful out there and happy motoring.